Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is a paper presentation on the ban on trophy hunting in Botswana, a community perspective by Dr. Mogalo, Botswana Accountancy College, and Professor van der Merwe from the Northwest University. This is the layout of what will be covered in the presentation today. Wildlife tourism entails both consumptive and non-consumptive utilization of wildlife resources. And though there are divergent views in terms of which one is more suitable in terms of community development, livelihoods, and even conservation, that is not the focus of the paper per se today. Nonetheless, wildlife tourism plays a very critical role in the economy of Botswana, contributing 4% to its GDP. And it is also the bedrock of community-based natural resource management program in the country, which entrust communities with the custodianship of the resources for their benefit so that they can be participative in conservation. In 2014, the government of Botswana instituted a ban on all hunting operations in the country. Stakeholders raised concern of the effects of such a move on jobs and income. It was important, therefore, to investigate the views of communities as they were directly impacted and affected by this ban. Nonetheless, in 2019, the government partially allowed hunting to return with the hunting of elephants only. However, it still remains the aim of this presentation to analyze the local community's perception of the ban on trophy hunting in Botswana. Literature shows that there is a link between local communities and wildlife tourism. Communities participate in various ways in wildlife tourism, firstly through direct means by paid employment, volunteering, or owning businesses that are involved in wildlife tourism. They also get involved and participate through community-based tourism ventures or organizations which act in the best interest of the communities to lease land to private organizations, partner with such private operators and operation of tourism businesses, or sell hunting quotas to hunting operators. And finally, they get involved in terms of management of wildlife resources and their conservation. Community participation is best encapsulated by Cornell's 97 definition, which says that it's not only about achieving the more efficient and more equitable distribution of material resources, but it is also about the sharing of knowledge and the transformation of the process of learning itself in the service of people's self-development. Therefore, self-development can only occur where there is engagement, where there is power sharing, and where there is also decision making. Communities need to perceive conservation as advantageous for them to participate in it. Therefore, any initiative has to demonstrate the potential for more benefits that are greater than the cost in order for the communities to have an incentive to participate. Even then, during participation, perception can be shaped by the learned response of the host community to the impacts of tourism, which means through these experiences, communities may shape either negative or positive perception based on the prevalence and the type of tourism impacts that the communities experience. A summary of the economics of trophy hunting in Botswana demonstrate that hunting generated 2/3 of the CBNRM revenue in 2011-2012. It also contributed quite significantly to employment, as demonstrated in one district with 600 employed. It funded community projects, and also a study by Center for Applied Research in 2016 shows that some of the former hunting community trust saw a decline of revenue of more than half in 2015 from the 2012 figures. The study was conducted in 2 villages in Botswana that offered hunting tourism prior to the ban. one village, Sankuyo, which is situated about 85 kilometers northeast of the town of Maung in northern Botswana. It's a small village with a population of about 470 people. It has a management trust which controls two concession areas. One is used for photographic tourism and the other for hunting tourism. This is the map of Botswana showing the location of Sankuyo relative to Maung, which is here. And this is the close-up, which shows the village and the two concessions that it operated. The second village is Madinare, which is a big semi-urban location with about a population of 12,000 and is located about 15 kilometers from the mining town of Silwepikwe in eastern Botswana, and has one concession that was used for hunting operations. This is Madinare on Botswana map on the eastern part, and there's a close-up that shows the village relative to the mining town here of Silwepikwe. In terms of methodology, a qualitative design was adopted with three populations being community members, former hunting employees, small business operators. For community members, quite a sampling technique was used, and structured interviews were used to collect data from the community. The former hunting employees and small business operators were selected using snowball technique, and semi-structured interviews was used to collect data from these samples. Results are divided into benefits that were previously derived from trophy hunting, as well as challenges that were experienced due to the ban on hunting. Cross-tabulation was used to present the results from the community members, and it shows that sale of meat and employment in Sankuyo were the most predominantly felt benefits, followed by financial dividends and community development. In terms of Madinare, surprisingly, there was only one community member who reported that they felt any benefits from trophy hunting, which was employment. As for former hunting employees, they noted improvement in skills like tracking techniques through the interaction with professional trackers. They also noted reduction of human-wildlife conflict as a result of trophy hunting, and obviously income and employment were also notable. The business operators noted the benefit being availability of animal byproducts that they used for craft production, and that consequently led to an expanded range of products that they produced and sold to the clients. Challenges due to the ban are crop destruction and livestock loss, which was noted by 48% of community participants. The sentiment were also shared by the former hunting employees, who noted that in the past, because of hunting, it was not easy to see animals around. Nowadays, they are everywhere. Sometimes we see them in our yards. As for business participants, they noted the destruction of the raw materials, especially the mokola palm tree that they use for the basket weaving, which the elephants love to eat, and therefore it's hard to find, and as it is not easy to grow anymore. Participants were asked to rate their attitudes towards wildlife, and 48% said that their attitudes are either negative or very negative towards wildlife currently, with about 30% of them saying they are neutral in that regard. The first key finding was that the size of a community plays a critical role in determining the extent to which the benefits are felt within a community, as demonstrated in the results. Sankuyo, which is a smaller community, realized more benefits from the interaction with hunting tourism as opposed to the bigger Madinare village. Secondly, negative attitudes towards wildlife have increased in both communities due to the escalation of women-wildlife conflict. The change in attitude also is linked to the ban on trophy hunting by the participants, some of which believe that animals are more protected than their lives and even their livelihoods. One of the former hunting employees noted that when you look carefully, it looks like people are not valued, animals have more value than human lives. Thirdly, both communities consider the involvement in tourism development to be minimal. They view the government role to be too much, and they believe that views from the communities are not taken into consideration, and they accuse government of giving them directives on issues that concern their livelihoods. The study concludes that there are adverse effects on communities due to the loss of benefits brought about by the ban on hunting. There is an increase in negative attitudes towards wildlife, which consequently would have an effect on wildlife conservation. There's also community perceptions that are different relative to the size of the community. In terms of recommendation, the study recommends a relook at the current hunting permission to allow more species in order to increase benefits to the communities. There is also a need to improve the management of human-wildlife conflict strategies to allay the problem that comes due to the negative attitudes towards wildlife, as well as a relook at the implementation of CBNRM to ensure that communities do not feel left behind. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome your comments and questions.